Hello and welcome to Jamie TV, streaming 100% live on YouTube. This isn't it is kind of a Cubasis workshop, but basically the situation is I've been out in Japan playing some gigs, and I got home yesterday morning. And so I've not had time to prepare lots of Cubasis stuff. I've not had so many questions coming in recently, actually. So in the last stream that I did before I went away, what I did was I just had a session, just sort of creating something. This project, I just kind of got started on a new little project, an idea I fancied doing. I just wanted to try and do something really heavy with the new 7-string guitar I just received, and using Absalom by Aurora DSP, because it's intended for that kind of guitar, that kind of sound. So I did that, and what I wanted to do, I wanted to merge those kinds, those kind of extreme, maybe death metal kind of sounds with some electronic sounds, and see if I could create something. Because I've been working on the cyber metal music for a while, and which is just kind of my blend of the cyberpunk idea with metal guitars. I've been really enjoying that, so I fancied taking it down as sort of a more extreme guitar sound kind of a route, and seeing if I could make it work. Right, so that was a very short introduction. Normally I have a slightly longer piece of music as an intro, but that's all I've got. That's all I've got to play for you, because that's what I got done. I've added a little bit to it since last time, and I'm going to start off by showing you what I've added. I've got a couple of interesting things to show you, and then I'm going to show you the new app from Nembrini, the double reverb, and why I decided to use it in this project, and then I'm just going to continue with making the project. Now, after I've finished streaming, Leela will be streaming, and I've attempted to set up a dump. So when I finish streaming, you will either automatically be dumped over to Leela's stream, or you will have the option of being dumped. I'm not entirely sure. Also, during this stream today, I'm going to attempt to remember to run an ad. So if you fancy reminding me about halfway through, I will. I'm going to try and do that today. I have managed to remember to do that once out of about 15 streams. So I'll do my best to remember. I meant to write it on a post-it note and stick it to my monitor, but obviously, as always, I forgot. Let's just say hello to a few people before I get on with stuff, right? So, Ed's here. Hi, Ed. Hi, Semtex. A drive-by from Crete. Hope you're having a great time, dude. Mateus is here. Hi, Mateus. Yes, attending Japanese. Yes, I really, really, absolutely love Japan. I've been twice now, and I absolutely adore it. It's fantastic, and if I didn't have a family to come home to, I wouldn't come home. Hi, Jade. Thanks for joining us. Right then. So, let's see now. Where to start? Okay. I'm going to start off by showing you the little bit that I've added to this project. And it's not a lot, right? But you might have noticed that for an introduction, all I had before was I had just the guitar part, right? Just the clean guitar part. Now, in that stream before, I was talking about how in metal songs we quite often have a a clean guitar part, right? You know, like maybe for an intro or a bit of an interlude or whatever. Like think of classic Metallica songs. There's quite often a clean guitar intro. Now, very often those clean guitar sounds are not created using a guitar amp, because a guitar amp typically has at least a little bit of drive on the front end. So if you're wanting one of those crystal clear guitar sounds, then maybe an amp sim is not the way to go. However, I was showing you how you can get that very, very clear, crystal clear sound with a gorgeous reverb and a lovely chorus with the 20th Century amp. And I was feeling that was the way I was going to go with it. But then when I listened back to it, I thought, I think for this track, I do want an old school guitar amp kind of sound. I think I do want that bit of grit in there. And then Nembrini released this emulation of the old Fender Twin Reverb. So I've used that. So I'm going to show you the amp in a little bit. So now, if I just solo the guitar, now it sounds like this. Right, so much more like a traditional old school amp. And now, that's all I had at the beginning of the track last time I was streaming. In the background, I've now added this from Cinematics. Now, I want to tell you a little thing about the chord there, right? And now, I know not everybody appreciates me throwing a little bit of music theory in there, but some people do. If I just show you the MIDI. Now, what we've got here, this... Oh, where's my mouse? I didn't switch my mouse on. Let me just grab it. Try not to burn myself on the candle as I do so. Right, and then I can use it as a pointer. Oh, that always happens every stream. Okay, now, so this four note chord here is an A minor with a suspended second, right? So it is simply an A minor with the second note of the scale added in. That's it, right? So the second note of the scale is a B. So we've got this B up here. And down here, just the three notes of an A minor. Very, very simple. And then we go to an A diminished chord, right? So in a diminished chord, the fifth of the scale is flattened by one semitone. And that's what you're seeing happening here. From the fifth to a flattened fifth. And we're keeping the suspended second in there. Now, the reason I arrived at those chords was simply because when I was playing the riff that you're hearing at the beginning here, which is not soloed. Let's try again. That was just a thing that I played when I was just messing about on the guitar. I was just kind of jamming away to myself, and I just came up with this riff that I liked the sound of. At the time, I wasn't thinking about what chord I was playing around or what key I was in or anything. I was just playing some notes and came up with that. Then I analysed what it was I was playing, and I realised that the notes I was playing belonged to the A minor scale, and that the first half of it were all notes from an A minor with a suspended second, and then that weird note that I put in there was the flat fifth. So all I've done is just move that from the A minor suspended second to the flat fifth, or the diminished chord if you like. But then what I've done here is I've added in a bass line with this sound, which is from the Hallian selection of sounds. Right, so what I've done there is, of course, both chords, strictly, their root note is A. But what I've done is, because the most prominent note in the second half of the riff is that flat 5, and it's really kind of standout, I've moved the bass line to play the flat 5 there. So from the A to the flat 5. And it works. You know, I wasn't like 100% sure it would work. I just tried it and it worked. So we get this, if I do the guitar and the bass line together. Right, now I'm going to show you some things about that bass line in a moment, but I'm just reading about Jade in the chat. I'm sorry to read that, Jade. Sorry to hear that's happened again. Hope that you're feeling better soon. I'm just thinking about what time it is in Australia. I'm all over the place with time at the moment because when we went to Japan, we flew to Istanbul first. So we went 2 hours forward in time, and then we flew to Japan, which is 6 hours forward in time from Istanbul and 8 hours from here. So we went forward in time, and then coming home, you like come back in time. And the weird thing was, right, when we arrived home, I'd been awake for like almost 30 hours. I didn't manage to sleep on the plane. I'm not very good at sleeping on the plane. Anyway, they've got loads of films, great films to watch, right? I wanted to watch loads of films. And so I got home and I'm absolutely shattered. Went to bed and I'm like an owl. Couldn't sleep at all. And then I didn't sleep last night either, not particularly well. You know, mental. Sanders here. You actually made a live stream, and it's 5 a.m. where you are, Jade. My God. Okay. So I'm going to show you what I've done with this bass line. So this bass sound, it is, as I say, it's one of the Hallian sounds. And if you want to find this sound, you will find it in, it's listed on the synth bass, and it's called, down here, look. There we are. And it's called Dark Click. Now, whilst I was messing around with it, I was messing around with the parameters in this bass sound, and I noticed that when I move this control here, is this armed? Let's just arm this track because I've got a keyboard plugged in here. Right. So I know, actually, let me just switch this off. I've got valves on here. Right. Right, now, I noticed that if I move this control, we get these octave overtones. And I thought it might be nice to sort of add that in, but not all the time. So I've automated that. And I also automated the filter cutoff here. So that you can hear it opening. Or was it this one actually? Right, so let me show you. Let me show you what that looks like as automation. So if I go here to automation, right, you'll see, and I did this by hand. I played this in live so that it was different each time, so it sounded kind of, you know, just rather than just repeating exactly the same thing. I thought it might be more interesting if it was just slightly different each time. So you see here. Right, and then if we have a look at the cutoff here, for some reason the cutoff has gone a bit weird. That's not how it was set. Let's just see if I can correct it back to how I had it. I'm not sure why they look like that. They're not supposed to look like that at all. Let's just fix these up. Right, and we'll try again with that. That's better. I don't know why that... no idea why that happened, but anyway. Right, and then at the end here, we get this. Right, now, when I was listening to this, as I was sort of using it as an intro, I wondered actually whether I ought to repeat the riff like double the amount of times before it slows down. Now, of course, in Cubasis 3, you can't actually... you can't actually change the tempo, right? It's a fixed tempo, and that's what you're stuck with. So there was no way that I could do this kind of slowing down, this few bars here where it slows down. There was no way I could like automate that or, you know, give myself any kind of a guide. So what I had to do was, in the last stream, I had played this last bit of guitar in here, just gradually slowing down. In fact, I switched the metronome off and I just did this by ear. Right, so to get this bass line to slow down in time with that, what I had to do was pick out each note in the guitar part one by one. Right, so here we've got a note, right? So I went in, I switched off snap to bar, and I went in, you can see the second note, if I zoom in, you can see that the second note starts just there. So I found that and put my playhead just there. I went in and put a note in by hand. Where are we? There we are. Right, so I put this note in by hand, and then I came back out and I found the next one and went in and put that one in by hand. Very laborious. Then I realised that the bass was playing twice as fast as the guitar, so all the notes in between those notes that I'd lined up, I had to just go in and do by ear, and so you get this gradually slowing down line like this. And if I put the bar lines back in like that, look, you can see that they're all over the place. So although Cubasis 3 at the moment, I'm sure we're going to get it soon, but although in Cubasis 3 you can't speed up and slow down strictly, it doesn't provide you with any kind of a map for that, doesn't allow you to do tempo changes or anything, there are sometimes ways around these things. In fact, there are a few ways that I've used in order to change tempo partway through a track. So that's something I could feature in future streams, I think. So like I said at the beginning, I don't have like lots of Cubasis, lots of like strictly Cubasis tips and information for you today, because I've just not had time to prepare anything. But if you have any questions about Cubasis 3, then by all means, of course, fire away. So I decided I wanted to have a guitar. Actually, let me just unsolo this, and because whilst I was pissing pantsing around with my dark click sound there, Yes, that's the thing. I forgot to show you. Right. So once I'd put the automation in, then I decided I just wanted it to sound a bit more grimy and a bit nastier and a bit distorted. So I used valves. And I used valves to attenuate it, right? To gain stage it. And I think I've got it a little bit too quiet, actually. And I'll probably compress that sound as well, just to kind of even out, because when it adds in those higher octave notes, it really stands out too much. So if I can compress it and bring those volumes closer together, then I'll be able to have more weighting of the bass end, and just even it out more, you know. Right. So I decided I wanted more of a guitar amp sound. Hi Maz, nice to see you here. Wanted more of a guitar amp sound for this intro sound, for the clean guitar. And then Nembrini released the double reverb. So let's have a look at that. So if I just solo this first of all. Right, and I got pretty much exactly the kind of sound that I wanted. Now, I don't want to piss pants around with this because I've got a nice sound. So I've put it on another track, and I'm going to plug my guitar in and just have a bit of a arse around with it, just a bit of a pissy pants around so you can hear what it can do. But I like this sound, so I'm going to save this sound. I'm going to make a new folder, which I'm going to call Jamie Tones, because I always call my Nembrini user preset folders the same thing. It just helps when I upload them to my Patreon account, just for me to see what's what. So create folder, right, and then I want to save. Hang on a minute. I want to save my preset in here. Right. Okay. So we'll call the file. What should we call it? Let's see now. We've got a death metal guitar sound, but this is the clean sound from the intro. We'll call it Double Death. It's a nonsense, but I will remember why I did it. Double Death. There we are. Right, okay, so save that preset. Now I'm going to go to this track down here, open it up on another track, and plug a guitar in so I can show you this amp. We'll switch that off. Okay, and now I'll need to have this armed. I'll just grab the guitar first. Right, I have a guitar here. All right, Leela. Now then, I've been a good lad today, Leela, and I think I've worked out how to do a dump. It sounds all kinds of wrong. So I've set the stream up so that hopefully, if I've done it right, at the end, it will dump anyone who's watching my stream over to your stream. So forgive me if I've made a mess of it, but I think I've done it right. It's only taken me, several months to get my head around it. Okay, so we'll arm this track. Now, this might be a bit loud. Let's just pull the volume down and then I'll creep it up so as not to hurt anyone's ears. Now, of course, this actually, let's just make it full screen size. So, of course, it has lots of presets in it, but we're not going to touch them because I like to demonstrate to people how they can get their own sounds out of apps. Presets are all fine, for working out, for giving you an idea of what the app can do, but really you want to be able to program it yourself. And it's about as difficult as putting on a hat, to be honest. So I will go through it in a sort of haphazard, disorganized, as if I only just got the app myself kind of a way, because that's the truth. Now let's just switch a few things off here. We'll switch off the reverb for now. The vibrato is off. Actually, let's come over to, we'll switch off the bright control. We'll come over to this channel here. Now, this is based on a very, very old Fender Twin, a classic guitar amp, which any of you out there that play guitar have probably at some point had a chance to play with. And it's one of the classics. It's one of the amps that guitarists who have enough space to actually collect amps, it's one of the ones that you'd want to own. A fantastic sounding old school amp. So this amp has two sides, and we can switch between it by just selecting the other one like this, where the jack input graphic is, or you can switch it here. Exactly the same effect. And if you set the controls identical like they are at the moment, they're more or less identical, as you switch from one side of the amp to the other, you'll hear there's not an awful lot of difference between the two sides of the amp. But this side has the reverb and the vibrato on it. So, normally, I find, particularly when I'm using a Les Paul style guitar, lose some bass end and brighten up the top. Right, okay, so we've got individual volumes for each channel, and we've got a bright button, which has kind of a similar effect to like a treble boost. Not as drastic, but it's nice. Now you might say, well, hang on a minute, Jamie, there is no gain on this amp. There's no gain control, and you've got some dirt there. So what if you want a seriously clean sound? Well, the trick is, with an old school guitar, with an old school guitar rig, you would make the front end of the amp overdrive by the amount of volume you're putting into it. So you'd back off your volume on your guitar, and it cleans up. And also, if you back off whilst you're playing, and then dig in harder, right? You see what I mean? You can actually, if you've got this kind of a setting, that sort of a clean to break up kind of a sound, you can actually dig in harder and make it break up. Right? Now I really, really enjoy playing with that kind of a sound. But not everybody likes that kind of thing. Some people might just want to have a sound that's totally clean with the guitar turned up to 10, and no matter how hard they're hitting the strings. The secret of how to achieve that with any Nembrini app is to go to the rack and then you pull down the input. Pull down the input nice and low, and then you boost your output. And that's how you get your crystal clear guitar sound. Right, now while we're in the rack, I just want to point out the thing about Nembrini apps, because I've got the desktop version of quite a lot of them. Not this one though, actually. I forgot to ask for it. But the thing is the iOS versions sound exactly like the desktop versions. There's no difference at all. But the desktop ones do have more features. But, you know, it's down to two things. One is just screen space, you know, call it real estate if you like. The other thing is that iOS users are not prepared to pay the same amount as a desktop user. So, you know, if they can only sell the app for 20 quid, but they can sell it for 80 quid on the desktop, then why should you get all the same features? That's the other side to it. But in this one, we've got a little more of what you get on the desktop version. So we'll have a look at these things in a moment. But here you see you've got control of your microphone and position and stuff. Right, let's go to the normal side of the amp. Right, now if I bring down this master and bring the volume up here, you get a more solid front end. But if I take the bright down, right, you just got that much more basic kind of clean amp sound. Now I'm going to go over to the vibrato channel, and I am going to actually just go back to the rack, and I'm going to put a bit more input level in. Right, let's introduce that bright button. Okay, and we'll have a little bit more crystal clear top end with the treble. Cut some bass. And there's a sound I could use. And let's have a look at the vibrato. So I switch the power on for the vibrato here. Hey up, Mark. Thanks for being here. So now vibrato. Okay, now vibrato, of course. This is, of course, a misuse of the term, because so Fender had when they added the tremolo arm, right? It's actually not a tremolo arm at all, because tremolo is volume going up and down. And the trem arm was called that because it was actually a vibrato arm. It's a vibrato arm because it makes the note pitch wobble. Same as just doing that. But somebody had already licensed that name. I can't remember who it was now. I can't remember. But so they couldn't call it that, so they called it a trem arm. So then when they put a tremolo effect on the amps, they called it vibrato, which is very strange and confusing, but it is what it is. So for this vibrato here, I can change the intensity of it here. So this is like turn it all the way up. It's like that effect blended all the way into your sound, if you like. And then we've got a speed control for it here. Let's just turn it up to madness. Right, there's a real slow vibrato. Right, and we'll bring the intensity back. Right, and now let's power on this reverb. This reverb is very, very nice. I'm going to turn it up so you can hear it. Magic, of course. You'd rarely have it turned up that far. Let's just have a nice subtle setting. And let's just do something different with the vibrato. Right, I think that's gorgeous. There's a lot of Nembrini amps that I really, really like. There's a few that I use in my music very, very regularly. Between the Nembrini amps and the Aurora DSP stuff, I rarely touch anything else. I don't really need anything else. I like that the Nembrini ones are emulations, and that they have that. What's the word for it? I can't think of the word for it. You know, come on, tell me the word in the chat. The way that they're made to look like the classic amps. Not identical, because obviously they can't do that, but you know what it's supposed to be. And a skeuomorphic, that's it. Skeuomorphism. I'm impressed, I actually said it right. Okay. Between that and then with the Aurora DSP stuff, the reason I like those is because they're not emulations. They're not, direct copies of anything. And that makes you be quite creative, I think, when you're programming in a sound. So between a blend of the two things, that's pretty much all I need for guitar and bass on iOS. Authenticity. Yes. Tonally. In fact, I'll see if I can get a really nice blues tone in a moment. But first of all, I'm just going to show you, we'll go back to the rack, and I'm just going to show you, we've had a look at input and what that can do. We'll come back to that actually in a moment when we look at the noise gate. And I'll just show you here. You can select between cabinets. So there's 6 cabinets to choose from. Let's just have a flick through them. The one that looks like a Vox cabinet there is very, very nice, I have to say. And then, of course, we can select different microphones. So that's an SM57. The ribbon mic will make it sound much fatter. And the condenser is bit more of a room sound to my ears. I suppose because a condenser mic will do that. And then we've got a dynamic mic, which is a thinner sound, which played solo perhaps doesn't sound quite as attractive, but actually in a mix it is probably more useful. Right, okay. Now we can have the mic off or on axis. And we can change the position of the mic. Now, what you don't get here is like in the desktop version, you see the microphone moving around the cabinet with a nice graphic. We don't get that here, but you know what? In a sense, that's kind of good because you get ideas in your head about how mics should be placed, where they should be pointed, what the angle should be. You know, you read guitar magazines about how a certain famous sound was, thingamajig. That was the word. Yes, you're right, Sandy. Yes. You read about how classic sounds were recorded and what cabinet was used and how the mic was placed and all that stuff. And you know what? Because you get that stuff in your head, when you come to do it yourself, you tend to copy that because that's a safe feeling, right? It's if you feel like you're doing the same thing as Clapton did, then surely that must be right. But it's far better to have no idea about that and just piss your pants around with the controls and just listen. And when it sounds magic to you, it's right. Right? So we just have a little piss your pants around with the distance of this mic. Let's turn this all the way up and the position all the way over here. Right? And then we'll have a few examples. That's quite a drastic difference. Let's put that off axis. And let's just do that with the condenser. Right, so that's extremely cool. I'm a big fan of that. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull down the output and turn up the input. So now we should get a drive kind of a sound. Now I'm going to leave this on condenser, although to me the condenser mic adds a lot of weight to the sound, weight that I would want to dial out when I come to mixing. But if I just go here and show you, we've already got quite a lot of bass wound off here. The reverb is adding some of that weight on the bottom end, but we want the reverb. Right, so go back to rack. Right, way too much low end there. But here we can filter off some low end. So rumbling will it's basically a filter for the low end. But let me put that back and show you this control here. Some of the desktop stuff I've got from Nembrini has got these controls on, where we can tighten up the low end. So it scoops out the low end, but it also tightens it up. So you've still got kind of like a, what's the word for it? It's kind of it's not weakened the bottom end as such. You just lose the woolly, but it's still a strong low presence. That thins it out a bit, and then the harsh that just takes off top end. if for some reason you would want a really dull guitar sound. Sometimes when you're using overdrive, you've got you know, like if you were putting a pedal before this amp perhaps, you know, you get some phase on the top end. You could use this to get rid of it. Okay, now if I get as much gain as I can out of this, and we'll just go back here and get rid of the vibrato. So you can hear there, I'm starting to get some drive out of this amp now. So now if I go here, now an amp that's, you know, it's really at full on, it's not got that much, overdrive to it really. It's not going to be a particularly noisy amp, but if you need a noise gate, you switch it on just here, and you can hear now we've got absolute silence in between chords. And then we can gate it here. If I and you know, you just sort of pissy pants around with these until it's set to suit. Listen for it cutting off. There. Okay. To me, I probably wouldn't need the noise gate at all on this particular amp, but you may. Alright, so now let's see if we can dial in a really nice blues sound. So how we're going to do this? We'll have the input, say, I don't know, maybe like this. Maybe go with the 57 and go to this cabinet. Okay. And let's just try this. Okay. I'll come out of the rack. Go here. Put a bit of bass back in. I'm going to go to my neck pickup. Some of this back in. Okay, and then alright, so really cool amp. Now, I'm going to come out of there. Anyone in the chat already got this amp? I know Jade's got it obviously, but any of the rest of you bought it? Right, so I'll mute that channel there. I don't need that channel now. Now, over here, I've got, let's just play the last bit of this here. Right. I'm not convinced about these drums at all. I basically threw them in quite quickly just before the stream started because I just wanted to have some drums there when I played it during the intro. Um, I'm just not. I don't know. I don't know whether to keep it actually really, really simple, go with a really straight um, cyberpunk style, um, four on the floor, um, a snare on the two and the four. Just get a massive but simple sound and let the guitars do all the work there. I'm not sure, but we'll do some piss panting around as we go along and see what I can come up with. So I want to start adding a bit more to this track now. So let's see. I've got like 4 bars of the main bit. I do kind of think that maybe that introduction should be twice as long before the slowing down. Yeah, I can easily add that in though. The main thing is at this stage right now is to get the ideas. I wonder whether actually now if I just switch this amp back on a minute. So that riff, what was it? Yeah, okay. There we are. Right. I wonder whether to put that in an octave higher, actually. Could do with doubling, and it could do with the rhythm part doubling as well. Let's see. Yeah, okay. So let's put the 7th string in, shall we? And then we'll arm. I'll double this track. That I've got the heavy riff on. Duplicate that. Delete the audio off it. And then we'll arm it. Right, okay. So now what we got? Of course, I'm on the wrong string. Can somebody tell me where A is now? I'm on the 7th string. Okay. Maybe I should double that. And then do it an octave higher? Or do I want that one doubled? Maybe I'll put that one down the centre. Maybe we extend it out. Okay, right. We'll extend it. So we've got this. Right, okay, so then we want to do that again. Okay. Yeah, I might need some drums there, yeah. Like, stupid hippie. Right, we'll copy that across a couple of times. Okay. Okay, let's see if we can play this. Nearly. I'm a little bit too far away from my iPad and pressing all the wrong buttons here. Right, okay, finally. So I've extended that part out. Now, I do this quite a lot here. Here's a little tip that may or may not work for you. What works for me quite a lot is if I've already got some recorded stuff on a track and I want to add to it, then instead of recording on that track, I can just duplicate that track, record right underneath it like this, and then I'll put a snap to bar on. Let's do this with the mouse. Okay, and then pull in this end, snap it right onto the bar. I can just drag it to where I want it to be, and then I can simply put a little fade like this and like this. And there I've got my new bit, without disturbing the old bit. I mean, you can record on top of other audio that's already on a track. It's not a problem. Or you can drop it in, but sometimes it's nice to just go out on a clean track and not be disturbing what you already have there. Maybe you're trying out an idea that might not work. Okay, so now I'm thinking on this rhythm track down here, what I've got is I've got just big chords. I'm literally just going from the A to the E flat, which is that it's that flat 5 note we were talking about earlier. And that's all it's doing. Now I haven't recorded any bass guitar yet, but I was thinking that when I record the bass guitar, while that rhythm guitar is just playing those big chords, maybe the bass could be playing something just very simple, but so maybe I could pick up some of that in the second half of where this riff is here. but maybe not chug on every note like I just played, because then I'm leaving a bit of room for the bass to breathe through. Something like that, maybe. Let's have a listen. Yeah, maybe it's the drums that's actually restricting me there. I'm feeling like will be a better rhythm. And maybe where the riff comes to that last note there, maybe that should just be a big chord. Let's see now. That didn't go into that last chord very well. Yeah, I think a chord inversion higher up would be cool, but I'm going to put down another, there's going to be a few layers of guitars here, so I'm probably going to do that there. I'm wondering, let's just listen to the drums, just the drums alone. Right, now these two drum parts here are identical to what I have here. Let's go back to very, very simple. Let's go back to a very, very simple drum part that's not going to restrict what rhythm I can put in. Then maybe we could build drums around that. I'll do that with just these two bars, and then, if it's a disaster, I can go back to the others. So this is just going to be like super basic. Right, I'm going to delete that one, and we'll duplicate this one to here. And let's have a little loop around this bit while I just work on it. It would be nice if you could just move a tab without having to go and find it and drag it in. It'd be nice if I could maybe do a double click or something in this bar at the top. Set it that way. Right, so now I'm much freer to play whatever kind of rhythm comes to me. Take the solos off. Oh, what's that note? Dun, 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 dun. Oh, right, hang on. Oh, right, hang on a minute. That could go to that could go CB there, hang on. Oh, yes. Now, what was that rhythm I had before? Well, that sounds mean. Right. So let's drop this back a couple of bars. Let's just try that. Got a little random audio I accidentally recorded over here. We'll get rid of that. Okay. Yeah, let's do that one. Right, that sounds a bit mean. Okay, right. I think I like that. Of course, I would never have got that rhythm. I would never have been able to play that rhythm in with this busier drum part here. Now I've got this very basic drum part here, and I've got a rhythm part on the guitar that I like, I can now build a drum part around it that I like. So what about if we just get rid of these two? Hang on a minute. We'll get rid of these. And then we'll copy these. Put that back here, I think it needs to go. There we are. Right, just for now, so I've got something to play to. Right, now we'll duplicate this track. I think I've just got time to show you what I like to do with my heavy rhythm guitars to get this really wide, big sound. So I'll come back here, and now am I going to have any? I'm not going to have a count in there. So I'll duplicate this again. Well, that's weird. Okay. Whatever. Right. I did say something about running an ad, and I've once again completely forgot. Yeah, I forgot the rhythm that I played. Let's just drop it in after this bit here. So it's right, okay. Right, okay, so I'm going to leave it at that for playing stuff in for now. These parts are only rough, obviously, because I'm just writing it and just finding out what works. I'll unarm that so I can unplug the guitar. Now, all I do is, when I play a rhythm guitar part in, when I'm talking about when I'm doing like heavy guitar stuff, I play in, and then I'll play in again, try and play exactly the same thing, but of course it won't be perfectly in time because I'm human. No matter how good it is, it will never be perfectly in time, and that's better than correcting it to perfectly in time, because it sounds bigger, and just two guitar parts played in very accurately but left human like that will sound bigger than 10 that you have timed perfectly, by zooming in up, like, with a microscope, and you know what I mean, when you take all the human quality out of it. Let's just note that bit back there, right? So you can see these guitars here, when you zoom right in, they're not perfectly in time to each other. Right, now if you zoom in close enough, that looks like, oh, I played that shocking, it's like so out of time. I'll trim it and I'll move it and make it perfectly in time. And that's how you spoil it, because in actual fact, that to the human ear is in time enough. So if I now go like this. We'll solo these 2 tracks. And we'll go to the mixing desk, and all we'll do is pan 1 hard left and 1 hard right. Now let's listen to them. Hey Russ, thanks for joining us, man. I'm about to finish. Right, okay, now it's time for Leela's stream. It's time for me to go. My dinner's ready. So I'm going to bugger off in a moment. I will play you out with this. But first, I'm going to run an ad because I forgot again. So I need the computer mouse. That's here. I'm going to run an ad now. So please let me know when you've seen the ad and you're back in the chat. Where's the button for that? Right. Okay, so I've inserted an ad. Now, if you have YouTube Premium, you're probably not seeing an ad. If you use an ad blocker, thereby denying us YouTubers the millionth of a penny that we get each time you watch an ad, you'll not be seeing it. Otherwise, you're probably watching some fabulous advert about insurance or making preparations for your family when you die. Or that was the last one I saw. Or I saw a really great car ad the other day, although I actually don't know what the ad was for. I couldn't tell you what car it was. I just thought it was a great track. I was just enjoying the music in it. So now, Mateus, I know you have Prime, so you're still here listening to me talking bollocks. Russ, have you not got an ad? That's never right. Okay, so what I'm going to do, when you're all back from watching some fabulously entertaining and informative and useful advert, I'm going to play you out with what we have so far for this track, which is not a lot, it has to be said, but I do feel that this could become something quite epic. It's just putting the time into it. You got 2, Sander. Okay. My apologies. Okay, right. So, thanks ever so much for being here today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for putting up with me. I hope that this stream was okay. Like I said, I didn't have time to put an awful lot of, Cubasis information and stuff like that together. So I thought, well, I'll just show you this amp and I'll piss pants around with my track and hopefully something in it somewhere will be useful to somebody. Okay. You have Prime 2, but it can send you that millionth of a penny. No, if you have Prime, that's the thing is, if you have Prime, like I have Prime, then the YouTubers do still get some money, and I think that's fantastic. I don't know why more people don't get Prime because most people that I know use Spotify, right? And if you get rid of your Spotify and you get YouTube Prime, all right, it's a little bit more money than paying for Spotify, but you get exactly what you get on Spotify on YouTube Music. Plus, you get to not see ads when you're watching YouTube, And I think it's a really good deal. And the family package on it is awesome. Now, I actually saved money by cancelling 3 lots of streaming services in our house and going with just YouTube Premium and getting more for the money. So, anyway, that's my little ad for YouTube. Right, one ad was for erectile dysfunction and the other was for adult diapers. I'm so sorry. On that note, I'm going to leave you. Thanks for being here. Make lots of music. Try not to piss man's about. Big up people and all that stuff. I'm playing you out with the track. See you later.